Hey guys, welcome back to Manifest Your Dreams. Wait a sec. I hope you can hear me all right. Today we're gonna talk about the rainbow color and the structure of the mind. So I'm kind of wondering what you feel when you see a rainbow, or if you even pay attention to it. I'm like a 5-year-old child when I see one, like, yay! But of course, we are all different. On the other hand, last time we had Dora Noras here, and in the chat, and she asked me to pull a card her for, and she pulled the rainbow color. So then I was wondering, maybe it is also nice to make a session not about the colors each, but the rainbow. Because it is kind of special. It is just white light broken up by a prism, right? Or a lens. So it's white light contains all of it. All of the colors of the rainbow, which is magical. That's why the white is so powerful. That's why most spiritual healers or Kundalini yoga teachers use that color. Or just to make sure to include it all, and also to represent the pureness, the egolessness. So that's why I kind of binded it together with the structure of the mind. Because let's talk first about what the rainbow color really means. It is, as I mentioned in physics, it's if we put them all together, the result is white light, which is just so natural for us. But if you think about it, it's really brilliant, especially for healing, especially in visualization, when we want to fill up with energy. We can either visualize white light. That's extremely powerful, actually. We tend to underestimate it because it's so common, it's just so natural, we are so used to it. But those things are really something to think about, and just to be grateful for, another thing to be grateful for, really. I love to look around in nature. Most magical moments were really when, for example, there was partial solar eclipse, and I just went down. It was autumn. That was a long time ago, something like 10 years ago, 11 even. And I just looked at the grass, and there were all those little drops. It was still morning hours, or that was 10, 11 in the morning, but it didn't dry up because it was rather cold, and the weather was a bit wet, so all grass was full of little water drops. And in that light, every water drop had a different color. It was so magical. It was one of the most magical moments of my life. So then it was really the rainbow, because every water drop broke up the white light to another color, because the eclipse, the partial eclipse, acted as a sort of prism or a lens. It was just brilliant. It was otherworldly, really. And that's why I also love pearl, because or not even the pearl, but the inside of the shells, because if you look at them, it's also breaking up the light, two colors, and it's so magical how it looks. I just love to observe those little details, and I dream about finding a way. I'm experimenting with some ways of reproducing it really on my paintings. I will let you know if I succeed. But in the older times, I just noticed that I used a lot of colors, and that's why I also put this fella behind me. obviously it's a depiction of Buddha and kind of abstract rainbow colors around him. It was more varied. It was really a rainbow, but it just faded away because it was a mix of oil and aquarelle, and the aquarelle was what I used. It was also an experiment. It reacted on the sunlight, and a part of it completely disappeared, which is a pity, but that's the price we pay for experiments. Oh yeah, another time, it was just a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, it was not even solar eclipse, but it was just a winter noon around, and I was looking at the bush next to me, which also had little drops on it, and I just remembered that partial solar eclipse because the light was broken exactly the same way, so we don't have to wait years to experience another solar eclipse or partial in this manner. But if we just pay attention a little bit, I was talking to someone and then I looked to the side and I was, wow, that's magical. So we can find back small nature wonders around us if we sometimes pay attention or just accidentally bump into it. And that's my experience when you're in a good flow, and usually when I walk in nature like 10 minutes, I'm already in a good flow, whatever happens really. It brings me out of anything. Then you just automatically attract those magical moments even more to yourself. Then they just appear. Sometimes not, we cannot force it, right? But they tend to appear more often if there is harmony in us. That's what the outside world also will represent for us. For example, I notice when I'm in a happy mood, then I tend to see much more birds around me, and they tend to fly a lot closer around me. I don't know, it might be a coincidence, but I observed that more often that it happens this way. So probably the law of attraction works also in this matter. The mind is the key to bring us back to harmony, because sometimes our head is completely busy and we are working with all the things we experience during the day. Especially if you tend to have a weaker nervous system, it can have its advantages, meaning that mostly it can be that you're more sensitive. So you can use those methods to get yourself back to balance much easier. They work much stronger for you. But in any case, there are also yoga practices that help you strengthen the nervous system, because that's really something we need to get stronger with time if we want to include the whole range of experiences in this human body. So a nervous system, a stable nervous system is very important for that. So back to the Vedic philosophy. It is the base of yoga philosophy, if you are wondering about it, which I'm going to explain in a very simple way. So I will bring in some Sanskrit words, and then I will talk about it a little bit, and I hope it's understandable. So let me know if you have any questions. So the Buddhism says there is the Nirvana, which is the same thing in my eyes, because I see them somehow the same structure from another point of view. So Nirvana is also emptiness. Consciousness is, from the point of view of this physical world, nothing. You can't see it. You can't. It's like nothing. It's just pure light. And if there is no shadow, pure light is nothing, because it's not definable. So we can see light because there is darkness, because there are shadows, so we compare it to the dark. That's the brilliant thing. And if we just look at it from this point of view, from the physical world where we live in, and this structure of where we are on this earth, it is nothing. It is not definable, and that's basically what the Vedas also say, that it is not in this realm, and our infinite, like finite mind cannot grasp the nature of the infinite. I remember when I was a child and I learned that the space was infinite. I tried to imagine it and my mind just broke. It was impossible. I couldn't. Yeah, that's where I got stuck as a child, and now I just live with the knowledge that, yeah, for this physical reality is difficult to grasp the infinite nature of things. So that's about it. So the chitta is more in my, I think consciousness, or individual consciousness might be a better term for it. It is a mind which includes a whole structure. So what is this structure? There are 3 parts of it, and the first part is manas, which is, we can call it the mind with a small m, which is the perceiver. It perceives things. So that is our ability to look around us and either see or feel or touch or smell or hear things, to gather information from the outside world. So that's how we process our happenings from the outside world. And that is very essential in our existence. So basically we do like all the parts of us as a base rule for for self-love, but not only for any practice. But it is very important to make a separation between those parts. So the manas is the thing that perceives, that receives all the information from the outer world. Interesting thing that our intuition works in a different way, but I will come back to that, because what I've noticed, I receive answers. Let's say if I ask about someone else and I would like to understand things more, I always have to look inwards, because if I'm concentrated too much on the outside world, the answers just evade me. I cannot receive them because I'm focused out, and the reception is within our inner channel. It arrives through our spine or along our spine up to the top of our head, and not for nothing that all the chakras are based on that channel. So that's why guided meditations and such, you can listen to them in a lying position. It's great, it relaxes the mind. But if you want to build a connection with your, let's say, inner leader, with the divine, with light, with universe, with consciousness, then they say it is very important to keep your spine straight. And that's in the yoga philosophy also the ultimate goal of all the yoga practices, to build a strong and healthy body that can along with 150 back muscles, that can just keep your body long for hours, maybe in a comfortable position where you can just meditate and build up melt up, let's say, build up connection and melt up in light, because that's what it is. Sometimes, other times it's different. It is all the unknown nature. It can bring miracles. Sometimes I find it even difficult to still my mind if it's very active or agitated or whatnot. It can be very chaotic at times, so then I put more effort in focusing on my breathing, and that's a thing that I can keep up, sometimes for 5 minutes only, because I just don't have the patience, but sometimes 4 hours, and those are the most magical moments when I allow that to happen, and when the universe works with me. It's brilliant. So then it is a thing to exclude the mind, or you direct. So you just say, okay, now the outer perception, I just don't put any attention to that. And whatever you don't focus on will disappear. That's the good thing with all kinds of inner problems, traumas. If you focus on building up yourself and you just accept all those things if they are there, that's already enough energy to flush them out with time from your system. So that's how they disappear. They don't get any energy, they don't get any attention from you. Easy as that. Sounds easy, huh? When you're in it, when I'm in it, it doesn't always feel that sudden. Yeah, that's the nature of things. Sometimes we have to experience tough moments and learn a way to cope with that and to come out of it. And the more we practice, the better we become at it, just like anything. So then it just can come and go, and we are transparent or translucid, let's say, for all those emotional energy, and then can just receive it, work with it quite fast, rather fast compared to what I've done 10 years ago, let's say, and let it go. So that is this flow through nature of our existence, and the mind plays a major role in it. So now we come to the second part of the mind, which is and that is hey Virengel, how are you doing? Nice to see you here. So that is what Dora Noras asked me back the last time. So I hope if you're watching, 2 times pretzel min button. Okay, I hope it's better. Thanks, Virengel. So the second part is Ahamkara, which is the I doer flip. So this is the I. This is the perception. When we say, or let's use just another part of the mind word. But it's also a sort of perception when we say, when you identify yourself with the things you feel or with the things you experience, you have a picture of yourself. And thanks, Virengel. And you are really attached to oh, thank you so much. Have fun too. So then you get attached to this picture of your self, which is in your mind. So it might not always be the reality. The closer it is to reality, what other people might see of you, maybe, and that is also not necessarily the reality of you, what other people see, but it is more depending on self-knowledge. So that's and it can be shocking for me. For 30 years I had pretty fake self-picture of myself due to the childhood traumas I had, and I couldn't naturally develop some characteristics which I thought I had. But if I think about it, it's just natural. I didn't have the environment for that, the support for that. The child learned from the environment, and I didn't have I was missing many factors to learn those things. So of course I didn't know that was a major shock, and it was very difficult to confront with that. But at the same time, my life since then, it's been like 10 years ago, exactly. My life ever since is just decades further, it feels, and a decade is rather a long time in a person's life, but I'm just really I never thought I would have such a life as I have right now. So it is worth It is worth to dare to see the truth, to confront ourselves with our lacks sometimes, because it always brings us forward if we can work with it, if we have the support, and if we understand how it works. So the ahamkara is the part which identifies with the I. But if you think, and the chakras are pretty good system to work with this, because for example, if we are thinking in non-visible reality, I hope the sound is good now. If we are thinking in non-visible reality, then we do have sort of inner leader, higher self, which just has a much wider overview and tends to lead us by intuition or by the things we feel passionate about on our way. So those are the things that bring us forward on our life path based on what we choose for this life as a task, what we want to develop in, what we want to achieve, if I can but yeah, if I can use that, but it's not the best word, it's more the path that matters. So which path are we meant to be on? And my personal experience is, if I'm on the path that my higher self agrees with, I'm just such a happier person. Then I'm relaxed and feel good and it's all good. Otherwise I tend to have anxiety and being nervous and I can't sleep because something just feels off, because I'm not in the right way or right direction. So you might have physical symptoms as well, but you might be just happy where you are, and it means, in my eyes, that you're doing the right things that are good for you. But it's always good to challenge ourselves, because there's always more beyond. And that is when you, the ahamkara we can also call the ego, although it is a psychological term, and that's why I put it in brackets. But it's important to know that you are not your feelings. You are not your acts, although your acts will have a consequence sooner or later, either in this life or in the next one. And basically, it is just whatever traumas or wounds you may bring from the past. It is a part of your system in this life, but it is not identical to you, to your soul, because the soul is something that cannot die, right? The mind doesn't go through with the soul on its journey to melting up in the light and reincarnating again with the next task or tasks. But it is very important to sharpen it as much, because it's needed for the passage between the two. So they say it is very important in which state we live this life, because based on that state, it is a ground for our next. I'm not sure that everything goes one-on-one to the next. Not I can't precisely say how those things were, but because again I lost those memories, unfortunately. But what I've read about it is that we do that it does matter. And they say, even getting back to the rainbow, that we tend to step through a rainbow state before we can go to the light. So it's kind of split up energy. I kind of imagine it as a check, because all colors of the rainbow would resonate with our system, and the state of what those things are in we might do another session about the base fears and tasks and stability or characteristics bound to each chakra. If you're interested, let me know. But this is like a double check from each color. Okay, how far did you come in this life? And then we can go through wherever we go through. But it is important that even if you're not able to do things, it's much easier to accept those things as a consequence of the past we carry, for example, or wounds or injuries or things where we didn't have the possibility to learn certain things in this life, but we always have now, so we can learn it now, and we never should be ashamed of that, even if it means that things you consider as basic that you expect from others, expectations are dangerous, but then we never should be ashamed of it if we don't have it right now. But it's I would say it's rather logical to set a goal to achieve that thing in the future, so concentrate and focus on it, that we can develop it. Because we always can, and if you work on it, you will attract those helping hands into your life, sometimes as mirrors, like people around us are mirroring us or certain aspects of us. And sometimes when someone is extremely annoying, it just reflects a part of you that you couldn't yet accept, which is so tricky. It can be so funny sometimes. I can go crazy, and the next moment like oh, you're so annoying, and the next moment I just have a laugh about it. Yeah, oh yeah, right, I also do have it. That again. But that's how it works, and with a good amount of self-knowledge, it just blink when you realize, oh yeah, that's it again. And then you have already accepted that thing in you, which is the first step of getting through it, above it, beyond it. Because till we cannot accept, which means sometimes we don't want to see those things. That's what I meant with not an unclear self-image. Then we tend to project it and see it in others, but not see it in ourselves. And it doesn't necessarily only means the negative things, it can be also positive, that we admire people. And maybe it means you have a talent that you haven't worked on yet, and it's just a calling for you to work on that talent of yours and work on that to be better and step on that path and go for it. Whenever it's almost love-like feeling when you see someone really be home in this field, it can be so overwhelming. And I did project those characteristics before, and it's just like, oh my god, I mean, like I'm almost in love with this person. Of course, I know I am not. Many people do mistake it for love, but it's also a part of self-knowledge that we can gain on this road. And then it just should ring the bell that hey, don't I have anything to do with the thing I admire so much in others? What if I just try and go for it, and maybe I'm lucky, and maybe that's my path. So we can also project our positive characteristics if we don't believe in ourselves, if we don't have a self-trust or self-confidence enough, or didn't have in the past to step on that road and go for it. And then that's why the thing that helps us the most on that path, a path which helps us realize those things, understand and make the click. Oh, is that the thing? Is that a mirror from someone? And I just might have the same thing in me. We always do, but yeah, I don't want to be too annoying. But we do. So it is called Buddhi. It is funny how it resembles to Buddha, but I think it kind of comes from the same environment, language. It tends to direct us to the same direction in the means that it is called the intellect. So intellect is the part of us that is the wisdom, that is the thing that helps us acknowledge things even when it's hard, and mostly it is not so easy to acknowledge those things because we just the ego always tries to protect us from harm, but it's not the harm, it's just when we are aware of the whole system and we know ourselves, we won't give so much space to the ego. Sometimes it can be handy if it leads you, oh yeah, I want to be famous, whatever, good in that thing, I want to be the best. Then it just gives you the push, that energy to go for it. So it can be handy, but it's very important that it shouldn't rule you, that you should have the overview, kind of checking into your higher self and ask that thing. Imagine like a light bulb over you. Okay, what do you see from that perspective? Because I'm kind of lost here. Might happen. And then it's not always the things that feels the most buttery, to say so. Sometimes those confrontational moments are hard, but at the other hand, it's very liberating. And if you think about it, the ego always tries to keep us safe, but that is something that always lives in the past. So the past is rigid, it happened, it's fixed, doesn't happen anything anymore with it. So if you live in the past, you don't really live. Exactly the same way, if you live in the future, mostly with worries or just plans or whatnot, means you are there and you're not doing anything right now and here. So this is the only moment existing right now, right here. And I'm sure you heard it many times, but it's so true, because the only living moment is this present moment. So you can do whatever you want with it. So cherish this thought, and I hope understanding this system will help you, and realizing those parts in you will help you to work a little bit more in distance from yourself. Like there is an observer, as if there was an observer which is loving you in a very healthy way, meaning confronting you if necessary and pushing you through things you don't want to because it's scary, but all those are fears, and at the end all fears are attached on a very, very far line of thoughts are attached to the fear of death. When we don't know what comes next, we don't know the past, it's different nature, it's unexpected, you can't control it, and that control is the key, because that's what the ego doesn't want to let go of, the control. So if you might have a problem with control, think about it. It's just a part of you that doesn't feel safe outside of that, but that is not you. That is a part of you, but you are much more than that, and you do have an intellect to work with, to advise you which is the good direction to you, and you do have a perceiver which helps you in the physical world to get the most information possible or necessary for your road to rock on. Alright, guys, that's what I wanted to tell about basically the most simple structure of the mind. And if you don't mind, I will just try to paint something based on the inspiration of the rainbow. Let's start with a kind of don't feel like starting with red. What should I do? Okay, in this case, I'll just work with my fear, because those are mostly our fears that come for us from the base chakra. Okay, so far I'm happy with it, how it flows. I'm curious how it will turn out when it dries. So it always looks so beautiful when it flows. I kind of love to observe it on the paper. And by the time it dries, it's just a completely different painting. But that's the thing about aquarelle. Brilliant for therapy, because you most certainly will have to let go of your feeling of control, because aquarelle is something you cannot control, or you have to be very good in a technique, but that's not the point in art therapy. In art therapy we want to let it flow, and we want to let the painting make itself, because my experience is it just may turn out much better than I could ever envision it. And that's the thing with inner connection, that the only thing I need to keep is just to keep that inner peace feeling and that connection, which is naturally there when we are peaceful. It's funny that a lot of those circular forms, those spirals, come out at the base chakra, because the spirals are in, I don't know if you know, Hungarians did have certain kind of rune scripture way before we took upon the Latin letters on us. And those have a certain meaning, and that spiral is the O letter, and it represents the creation, the moving force of the world. So I'm kind of happy about it, because it is exactly the movement I'm looking for in the base chakra, because the base chakra is maintaining our physical needs, all the basic fears, all the living challenges on the physical matter, meaning creating our own safety in this world, like having a good job that you like, that ensures your for example, the physical income, that you are able to stand ground, and mostly when we are well grounded, we just tend to stand with 2 feet on the ground and tend to find the solution for many things, although those might be more connected to creativity, which is already tending to the orange color, and I'm kind of working already with orange here, so it's funny that those subjects come to my mind. But base rule is that any chakra is out of balance means the whole system will be out of balance, because they kind of it's like a Luftballon. If you strangle it in one spot, more energy will go to other spots of it naturally, because that's like an energy bubble. So if you want to have it balanced, you need to balance the whole system, and those strangles on your Luftballon you need to remove by, name it, meditation, dancing, yoga, you choose. Anything it comes into your mind. And that's what I'm talking about when the painting makes itself. I love to experiment with those accidental moves, because they do have a certain directing power, and if we work with it, it can turn out to be something very exciting, very good. I would have never put those red dots wherever they are, but I'm happy they're there because now I really like them. It's kind of painting with aquarelle. It feels like playing with the universe. Without kidding. Because I also do notice that my mind is kind of repetitive and wants to repeat what it already knows. But that's the natural tendency of... Now, do you know which part of the mind? Yes, the Ahamkara. The part that always seeks security. But mostly real life is everything that's beyond security. I don't say that we shouldn't keep a healthy balance with that too, because all over the key is in balance. So be aware of your own boundaries. Do challenge yourself, but make sure that you always keep in touch with reality, because that's why we are here. This physical world is, sorry if I say that, it might sound kind of rude or I don't know, maybe not, but it is like a playground. So if we are in our best balance, then we just play with life, right? Even the challenging things. Look at the child meeting all those new things. They are mesmerized by it, they are fascinated by it, they're so happy with it. So that's kind of the state we can be in when we can let go of our fears, because those are just either past experiences, which we talked about. It's a dead subject, so it happened. Yeah, you cannot do anything about it. It's there, but it won't change. So the only thing that you can change is now. And when you're ready for it, which don't wait for that feeling when you say, because it might never come, and when you say I'm ready for it, sometimes we just need to let life drop us in the middle and try to swim, and many times we come after that we realize that we actually can't swim. Great, what a miracle. So sometimes those surprises of life are pretty awesome, and I like those kind of deep water things. Not for that it happens or at the moment when it happens, but afterwards I definitely like them. I promise you. Ooh, this turned pretty fiery right now. Right. I never painted such a red, yellow, orange painting. And it's kind of a pity that I don't feel like putting all those other colors in it, but probably that's what I need most, the base colors. I haven't thought about the solar plexus, which is yellow, or if it's very well developed, or let's say in another system or other chakra system, can be golden even. So it has a certain metallic structure and even have a shine to it. That solar plexus is very often connected to our inner warrior, which is our inner perseverance. Very often it can be trained with physical exercise, such as the physical exercise has an effect also on the base chakra, and not all of them really, but mostly on the three below, the three lower chakras. So the base chakra, the sacral also, which is partly responsible of creativity and reproduction, which is kind of the same thing in a different body or appearance, because this painting is kind of also your creation, like a child is. It just has different consequences. It's a different process, but they are both connected to your sacral chakra in the 7 chakra system. In the others, they are also connected to the same area. Obviously, that's why our reproductive organs are there. But they tend to be split up to more chakras or more globes, depending on what functions they have. So basically, it can be also our connection to other people, our flow in the world. And that means if we are well balanced here, we have just a very direct and harmonic connection to basically anyone we meet on the street or anyone we meet in life, which is a pretty awesome thing. Besides, if you get in touch with that area, it's a source of miracles. It's just such a pleasure to play around like a child. It's abundance, really. And that's where many things start. Abundance really starts with gratitude in this world. So many times we just take so many things as so natural because we are grown into it, we're grown up with it, but it is always something to be grateful for. And once we realize that, and not only with our mind, but have sunken that knowledge or that feeling deeper in our body. I mean, if you open up for these things and you have an idea, but you know it on a cognitive level, you know it with your mind, but you can't feel it. It means if you open up the lower chakras, like the throat chakra, like the heart chakra, like the solar plexus, like the sacral chakra, so up and even the base, then you have a full body to accept it. Then the energy can flow down and through all those energy centers, which means you will literally feel it. So you will have a sense of gratitude, a feeling of gratitude in your heart, in your core. You will internalize that thought. It means it doesn't just remain a thought, but it becomes a physical reality for you, which is great because from that feeling, that's a state of being which attracts the same energy. Whatever energy you're in at the moment attracts the same outside. So that's the key for abundance and manifesting what the not physical things, let's say, but it's easier to be it, to imagine yourself in that state and imagine how you would feel, how you would look like. Maybe the same, maybe it doesn't matter. It mostly doesn't matter. But how you would mostly feel in that state, how you would operate in that state, how would a day of yours look like in this state? How would you be? What is different? What stayed the same? It was included in the new moon meditation we made at last new moon. Soon the next one is coming up. And then we can reflect on those ideas. So if you feel like a new moon is a brilliant time for manifestation, because from that point everything starts to grow, just like the little mushrooms in my pot, which I told you about. They always come out at new moon and full moon. Really sweet. But yeah, all the energies tend to grow from new moon to full moon. That's the way the tides go. That's the way our world and our bodies are affected by magnetism and electricity of those, mostly magnetism of those elements. So pretty interesting thing that I jumped from the base chakra, the sacral and the solar plexus to right to the violet and the purple, which is kind of the upper two chakras. So most probably there might be something to think about for me at the level of the heart chakra, something that is difficult right now, which I am not willing to face, which is kind of understandable. It's Christmas, and it tends to bring, if we had difficult times at Christmas, it tends to bring back those memories to us. And of course I always want the time to be perfect and beautiful, and just harmonic, and flow with it and enjoy it. So I may have avoided some things that weigh down my heart. For example, I know that I have to have a talk with someone very important to me about some confrontation, something I will say no for, and of course it worries me how she will react, and what it will do to our relationships. On the other hand, I thought about it, and if I want to be truthful for myself, that's my truthful step, even if it means confrontation. But I will take upon that, and it may weigh my heart down this time a little, because it's always until we couldn't discuss it. For sure it will be somewhere there in the background, but I didn't want to be, it just popped up right before Christmas, and I didn't want to be Christmas when we discussed it, because I wanted to create also a safe and peaceful state for her, and don't want to shadow all those Christmas times when she has to remember this, so I choose it to be another time. Alright, that's already some kind of green appearing there. It's so funny. So I let it out, and it can immediately, and I don't feel it weird on the painting anymore. Before now I felt, no, it will ruin it if I would put any green into it, and now it's just, oops, it's there. Very funny. So that's how much a little let out or acknowledging something can mean to you. And it's not only appearing on paper, but I'm kind of letting it flow freely. And at the same time also take the signs. Obviously I'm doing it for 12 years already, so I kind of have a more direct connection to it, which is great, which I'm very grateful for. Oh, the dark teal color. It's very exciting. I want another bit, just like that here done. I will just drop some water on it. This paint is so thick, almost no color comes out of it, so I have to help it a little. And if you maybe have some paint with you, I always encourage you to paint with me. Just take that piece of paper, and if you have any feelings or you just want to flow with it, creating together always gives energy that is combined of the people. So might be that I also will feel your energies here. But it tends to bring out something different than you would create yourself. That's why I love to go to creation camps or art camps, because those works that I create there are non-replicable when I'm alone. I just cannot replicate that kind of dynamic, that kind of content, that kind of energy. It's a very different style when you are in the same creative spot with other people that are also creating, that have their own channels open. It kind of feels like those channels add up, and you are in a whole creative field, in the spaces of each other, being some sacred spot. It's great, really. To do that. Turquoise and green energy, although I might add a little bit more light green. I love how the colors mingled here and gave that warm grass green out of the mixture, but I do need some more warmness to this painting. It is very difficult to spot with this paint because it's so thick. I might just loosen up a little and see where that brings me. Add some water to it. Wow, what a brilliant blue in the middle. The blue is about the throat chakra, right? It's communication, self-expression, verbally and in any other way, but it is also connected to our intuition, and it means instance, if your throat chakra is closed, then the energy cannot flow from the upper area to the lower, or from the heart to the mind. So that's the connection between and the consensus between head and heart. It's a very important chakra. And our intuition, that involves both, because it involves our intelligence to understand what we feel, and we have to be open as emotionally as mentally for what wants to arrive to us, and to process that. This kind of looks like a carnival right here, but I don't mind. A bit far off from the rainbow, but I didn't intend to make a rainbow, I just intended to work with those colors. The only thing I miss right now is a tad of that light green. This is a beautiful green color. It's almost yellow if it's lighten up a little. So I will take a bigger brush to give it a good spread. It's like a giant sea cucumber. Little stings in my heart. But if that's what comes out, that's what comes out. Who am I to dispute with that? Oh, that's kind of 8-pointed star. That is also a powerful healing symbol in Hungarian and in the Turkish mythology. I had to count how many that was because I had no idea. But I kind of want to loosen it up a little. And it's kind of flowing away right now.
I guess we all have future pants. They're pants we're going to wear tomorrow. And the next day. And the day after that.
If we are precise what is happening here, when I want to translate it, kind of heart energy goes through the blue, the communication, and it all flows together. Funny enough, it melts together with the creative
And the day after
energies
that,
and frees up a lot of power. It's very freeing. It's a free, happy pattern for me. It gives such a feeling if I look at it. I'm curious how it is when it is dry.
and the day after that,
A little bit more green to the curly areas over here.
I guess we all have future pants. They're pants we're going to wear tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that.
Okay, so all I need here is a little bit more freedom. So I will try to get it. I wanted to do it with the blue. So I will get some more water in it. And I'll try a bigger brush.
And the day after that.
And try to spot this. Kind of seems very still. Whoops. I feel like adding some more depth here below. And I'm wondering, guys, do you want the background color or not? I'm kind of thinking about just creating a blue cocoon for this whole thing, but I would love to know what you think, what you feel. Let's leave it white or... Oops, I think I might have gone full with paint. Here or that. No idea, you see it better. Painting is a messy business. And some more red. I might do the same thing here, just add some more water. Only I don't know where I put my little fish with the water. Oops. There you go. Okay. Action goes. I'm also wondering, what are you doing, guys, these days? Because sometimes it's so dark outside. I kind of find it already a challenge to go outside in the cold, but yesterday I was very happy because I managed to go running. So that was a whole experience, but today it was raining, so I said nope. But then I just bought a jumping rope for my husband, which I'm gladly using every day ever since. So today I said, yeah, that's just as good with the jumping rope. Let's do that. I kind of felt alive after that, and I also felt like, okay, I'm ready for some communication today. It looks a bit more lively, huh? Some more orange. I might have to wash my shirt after this. Cobalt blue as a contrast to the green. Let's see how thick that gets. The camera is always not visible, but those flow throughs with the green and yellowish green are very subtle. Those are the most favorite parts. I kind of feel that this middle is a bit messy still. I don't mind messy, but it's kind of probably the table is going that direction, so my palette just flow away. What should I do with it? If anything at all. I kind of miss the red colors that we put at the beginning there. Maybe some mid-red still. Strange that okay, it's understandable from a color point of view how the orange and the purple turn brown, but in this case, if we check the meaning of the colors, it is the looking for safety and stability of the brown next, right next to intuition, which might mean that I'm not daring enough to step out of my zone, that I can be much braver because that's my path, that's what it tells me to do. So I just have to gather my strength, my courage, and go for it. Might be a thing. It looks a little bit lighter, probably due to the lighting on the paper. But now that we have the dots on it, I kind of don't feel like adding any background color anymore. So it kind of stayed a bit airy. But I don't want to do something with that flow that it also has a function. it kind of has a meaning because it does. Also, the purple colors disappeared a little bit for me from the palette, which are exactly the colors of our third eye chakra, broad chakra, and the crown chakra. So let's work with that. I think we have a chance that with brown it will just stay brown, and there's still a lot of water. And I kind of want to leave those forms a little bit, and the colors that they develop there unfold a bit. Just leave them as they were, although it's quite challenging due to the mixing nature of those things. I certainly do need the other purple as well, otherwise it's gonna be too brown is too warm. So we do need a tad of that sharp intellect flowing in. It looks like it has feathers, but only little feathers like a baby chicken or a baby duck would have. Or a baby angel, does that exist? Yeah, but it kind of has this uplifting power to the whole picture. Kind of need something here, not that much, but a little bit that kind of rose kind of color. It's difficult to grasp because I will need red and a lot of water. So let's see how far we get with that. I think I was thinking more of a purple-like red color or pink color, at least a mixture of the two. It's kind of a little bit purple now, mixing into this bubble. Remember, that was a bubble of communication about possibly that kind of talk that I'm going to have, or I plan to have. And it kind of feels right over there, which means if I listen to my intuition during communication, then I might stay on the right path in a way that it might also bring some understanding to the other person. So then we see why that might be really necessary to do. So now it starts to have a little bit of dynamic. However, I want to try a little bit more cobalt blue. Let's see how it looks in the middle of the big brown patch. Doesn't even dissolve, brilliant. Ooh, lighting. Oh, I might have inflicted a bit of purple in my cobalt blue color. I will try to remove it later. I do it mostly in little pots like this for kids, but sometimes I'm the kid because I also forget about it. Because when I'm in a creative flow, I tend to forget to wash out the brush between each color, and then I mix in colors which I don't want, and we lose the pure colors, right? So that's not the best thing for a good quality pure aquarelle paint. Doesn't do much good for it, let's say. I think the title of this painting so far is In the Name of the Spiral. So let's make that vision complete. I'm curious about your thoughts, guys. Is it overdone? Do you need anything still? It's kind of busy, but I do feel a certain amount of freedom and cheer. It's kind of joyful. And a lot of energy is going around. It's a lot of chaotic. I think it really represents me these days. So what I still want to do, I want to pull a color card for you guys. So I will ask for the whole group dynamic, because that also exists. We're here in the same space. So what is it that helps us the most, let's say, to start up the new year with? And what's the energy or the color we need most in these first few weeks of January, if you agree. Otherwise, if you want a personal color card, let me know. And I will pull one for you, just for your question. You don't have to tell your question to me. You just have to know it in yourself, and then I will ask something that helps you. Absolutely, just following my feelings. Try to check in a little bit with the group energies, but I'm kind of in it, so I just have to focus inwards for a moment. Let's see what we've got here. Ah, the pearl. I was talking about the pearl, and I will have to translate it because it's in Dutch. It says, strengthen your connection with the divine. Let's see. But if we think about the divine, always the first thing that comes into my mind is nature. So whenever I'm in nature, I'm connected, and that's what we're gonna do Thursday as well. We will go for a long day walk. That will be our Christmas with my husband and his brother, because he's not a guy who likes to sit inside a lot. And yeah, that was our creative solution or his creative solution or suggestion for Christmas. Let's do it that way. I'm using the Secret Language of Colors from Ina Segal. I find it a brilliant card set. And I use it also in my art therapy groups, and they love it. They can't wait to pull a new color for that period. And when someone pulls the same color over weeks or months, it did happen a few times, then we go deeper into that color and see what it can mean for her or his life, or the coming period, or the period she or he is in, what she's coping with, what are the solutions, what brings her out of the challenges, what helps her, and what it really represents for her. So the pearl color Mm, the pearl has a special white color, and that calms us, that purifies us, and that stimulates self confidence. It brings you in a state that you move with life together and move towards a relation that is in connection with the divine. So just to translate it to a very simple example is, if you follow your passion, you will feel happy, and that's the kind of satisfaction you gain from the things that you meant to do in this life, and always those will bring the most amount of joy to you on the long term. That is this deep, joyful peace that it brings you. Then you kind of feel everything is in its place, or you're going towards that path, and you might feel an extremely strong pulling power toward things that mean that kind of joyful life state for you on the long term. The pearl color is a color of personal integrity, truthfulness, and loyalty. It brings clearness, clarity, peace, and harmony into your life. You may visualize a pearl white light if you want to strengthen your connection to the divine, or your connection to your higher self, to lead you stronger on your path if you might wait for answer, or just to give you clear instructions or tips where you need to go, what you need to follow if you want actually to turn those things into actual real happenings, into physical manifestations, like building an own company, and might connect you with the people who can help you on this road. It's also a very important thing. We are never alone on this road. I don't think we can do it alone. Of course, we are alone on our path, and we are responsible for it full time, but there are always people who help us, just because they want to, just because they can. It's kind of the universe supporting us this way to bring those people in our lives. Right. There is also a visual exercise. Is just basically you can imagine pearl white lights as a ladder towards the divine sphere, and the ladder of thoughts. And if we are above them, we just kind of see them passing by, but we don't sit on them, we don't go with them, we are just observing. And that's the purpose of meditation. Right, and we can just focus on this purity and of this clarity of the color of what the pearl white means. Let me see if I still want to work on this thing a little. Yes, I think I do. Because the colors are much stronger, I feel I need some more subtle colors in the background. So I will add a lot more water. Kind of make the rest of the colors flow together, but I don't mind it. Hey, thanks for the donation, Sizzler. Very kind of you. Much appreciated. Oh, and thanks for the new follow, DJ. Oh, I kind of sometimes I miss those things. They are also so small. But anyway, I'm really grateful for it. Thanks a lot, guys. So once again, I'm trying to build in that lightness into this painting, which is kind of the light colors, which you might not see that much on the camera because of the strong lights. But for me here it is very apparent, very fiery, very present, very strong, and I just need some more subtlety to it. I kind of feel like using a lot of blue to calm it down. I'm curious about the edges here, because sometimes when those edges dry up, they leave a beautiful dried pattern behind, so I'm hoping for that in secret. Funny to think about it, that I'm again taking up all the space. I'm using a much bigger paper than last time, and still I'm using up all the space and go until the edge of it, so it might be a tendency of mine in this life. I wonder what might happen when I would just make a more concentrated efforts. Oh look, there's a Triskele here. This is the Celtic earth symbol. And it's also appearing in the logo of my yoga studio. I feel very connected to it, especially because that is 3 O's, so the symbol of the dynamic of the creation put together. So it is this spiral and this spiral and this spiral here. But there are so many more here. Right. This kind of got washed away. I'll just be brave and add a little bit more green to it. Like as if a plant would grow out of those spirals. If you think about it, it's true, because the little leaves, when they roll out, they tend to have this spiral color, and then they roll out to a whole leaf. They're so sweet. It kind of gives that dynamic to this green color. Oh, my cobalt did melt up at the end in the purple. Water always wins. It's such a powerful element, water. Just think about tsunamis or the movement of the sea, or even how the trees grow and what form they take. So, okay, they do have certain elements which are sensitive to light, which is pretty logic because that determines which direction they grow to. Because of the chlorophyll, they will grow, and another substance, they will grow more on the side where they receive light. So that's already brilliant. But the form, I was really thinking, I do have the trees, if we look at the branches, same kind of structure as rivers do have from above. Oh yeah, you can see trees in the background of my background. But if we look at rivers, okay, this is a tree which has many small branches, but if there are also other trees which have less branches, and those shapes they form, they are exactly the same as rivers and deltas do from above when the river flows into the sea, and they tend to get huge, this big fan-like shape. I was wondering, that has to be the power of the water. So the water, it does have a very slow effect, but it kind of changes us, like and it changes the surface, anything. It can wash out stones even, how much harder the stone seems to be, and it's still water can flush out whole valleys. Look at the Grand Canyon, the Niagara Falls. Although that might be a shift of the surface, tactile, don't know the word right now, movement. But yeah, water can achieve a lot of things, and it's interesting to look at that our emotions do have a water in nature. They are flowing, they are taking off any shape we give them. So that's why aquarelle and any water-based paint works really good with emotions, because we kind of get in direct touch with our emotions here. And that's why in the Vedic philosophy, the element connected to the creativity, the sacral chakra, and the heart, it's both water, because that's what also has this flowing dynamic nature of it all. Kind of feel the need to strengthen that connection with a little bit more ultramarine. Ooh. That got strong. It's kind of like little roots come out of of the spirals of the flow, which is a good thing, I feel, because they tend to give more firmness, more stability. To the whole dynamic thing. It is a very, very airy, very watery creation, this one, with a lot of whirling energies, just like the wind, just like the water, full of eddies. So I'm really happy about some roots. I want that stability. I want to get hold of things. That's the only thing, only place where we can grow from. If we are in one spot, if we have that stability, some people can deal with lack of stability, but what I realized from my life is that I couldn't really grow as a person. I did grow due to the experiences, but getting to know myself was only possible when I had this certain feeling of stability, security around me, and then I had the chance to grab deeper into myself. Also because then I had the space to let out all those childhood wounds which are painful. So kind of life cocooned me into a state where I'm strong enough to deal with that. But I'm really grateful for that it can happen, even though it's painful at times. But I certainly do think that is the solution and the way forward. And art always helps us. Also movement. I kind of like it when I'm totally melancholic and waking up like a zombie. I tend to have very slow mornings and difficult to really reach that awake state when my brain is functioning, and I don't like to drink too much coffee because I get nervous from it. So best solution I've found so far is go for a run or the jumping rope. Brilliant, guys. Try it. After 5 minutes, after every minute I hold 10 seconds break because I would be dead by now. No, but I really, I'm not that far yet, but minute steps or minute jumping, and then 10 minutes break, and then again up to as much as you want or can. It definitely makes you feel alive, just like the cold showers, which is quite known yogi tool. Wet showers I couldn't keep up that long, but they definitely also do help. But I do notice that after when I did a very heavy exercise, I also tend to have less problems with a cold shower, for instance, and it's very healthy. There is a certain way to do it. I'm sure there are more YouTube videos to help you how to do it. But basically, it's just rub oil. Use almond oil, but it can be any other natural oil on your body and be acquainted. So you keep rubbing your whole body, so kind of heat it up and keep it warm, and then just immerse in the cold shower. It can be in small parts if you can't handle that much yet, but we can get used to things with time, luckily. That's what's so brilliant about a human being, that we are meant to adapt for so many circumstances. So that's why it's not comfort is great. Of course, I love it, but but we are capable of adapting to so much more, and it might be a very interesting change in our life, or just bring out something new from us, from our personalities, which is always super exciting. Right. I feel like the more thing I put into that brown stain, the more brown it gets. I just cannot get rid of the brown. Okay, I will try with one more indigo in it. Or it might be that it just will make it even darker. Anyway, some contrast to it. Don't have it. It's also interesting to watch how this dries, because obviously many colors will just fade away and it will have much less depth, unfortunately, than it has now. So it is already quite busy, but I might rework some accents when it dried and make it maybe more belonging together. So if you still would like me to pull a color for you, let me know. Otherwise, you can always type me in the chat. Otherwise, I will close down for today and see you guys another time.